It's 10 o'clock. Why don't we sort of get seated and all? I'll call our planning meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or changes?
Move approval of the agenda.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is approved. Okay. Additions or changes to the October 20th council meeting minutes? I'll give it. Are there any changes or?
Madam Clerk, are these the exact same minutes that went out to everybody?
Yep.
Move approval, Mr. Mayor, of the minutes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, we don't approve them today. We're approving that on Tuesday. So scratch that. We don't.
Without change from today.
Without change from today, but okay. Okay, next is financial report.
We're still having a little bit of a glitch with our QuickBooks. Kim
Yes.
can probably speak to that a little bit more.
For some reason, the water deposits or the water payments that we're getting is not flowing over into the water account. When you do a budget to actual, like what we printed out, you can see what the totals are. But if you try to break it down by water and then town, it's not pulling those deposits in, so it doesn't look like the revenue's there. So Terry is working on getting that fixed. So we did just a complete overview this time, and hopefully she'll get that corrected.
Okay.
But it shows it when we do just a complete with the town and the water, but it won't break it down for some reason.
Well, just from Jim, from your knowledge and Kim, are we doing okay in terms of cash flow and ability to pay bills and payroll and everything?
We're doing fine. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about past due water bills, but collections are going very well for the water and the town. As a matter of fact, the town is receiving actually about $2,000 more a month from the sales tax distribution than we were in the previous year. So that's going to add quite a bit to our coffers, about $16,000 more over the next 8 months.
And do you think by the December meeting, this QuickBooks stuff will be cleared up and we'll have some valid reports?
The reports are very accurate.
Yeah. And I've gone through those this week and tried to make sure that I have everything going to the right account as far as budget. So, and Terry is working on it. I told her we were going into a meeting at 10 o'clock, so I think she's working on figuring out why those are not flowing into the water.
So you have a glitch that you're working on?
Yeah. I'm not sure, like I said, it is fine when you do an overview, but when you try to filter it down and do it separate, they don't pull over the deposit.
These things happen.
You don't know how to turn it.
So we don't adopt it. This will be on the agenda for Tuesday.
Yes.
And sure, hopefully it'll be
Yeah.
corrected by then, and we'll have it separate from the water and the general.
Very good.
And she was actually watching me this morning and seeing how I was trying to break it down so she could see exactly what was going on. Yeah.
Do you think it's is it a bug in QuickBooks or is it?
No, I actually think for some reason when it was set up, and it was like this in the old system too, it says undeposited funds. So I think it's something to do with that. Just maybe we're not getting it into the right account, or the undeposited funds is making it not show up. I don't know, but she's looking at it to see if she can figure out why it's not pulling over.
This was
So she'll get it
resolved.
fixed.
This was resolved in past years with a journal entry that the external auditors created to try to get a balance between the water and the other funds, and something to be very uncomfortable with, but it was always in the audit. This year the audit didn't contain anything like that. Very clear that that's not being done anymore. So these are things that will keep coming out, and you'll keep fixing them, and eventually everything will be okay.
Okay, anything else on the financial?
Yeah, I do. On the UCB loan, I see a balance there. Is that an unused balance or is that a used balance of $121,641.79? And what is the status of that loan and what direction are we taking by the letter that was delivered from the North Carolina Department of Treasury, please?
We're going to have a discussion of that with our attorney at the closed session today. And what I'd rather do is wait until after we have that discussion, and then we can probably give you a better answer.
Okay, but as far as this balance, is that left on the loan or is that what's been taken out?
That's the outstanding amount.
That's the amount that we owe on the loan.
Okay.
What you're really asking, Jack, is how much of that balance has been spent. Is that not what you're asking?
Yes.
The $53,000 for the roads has been spent, and I believe that some of the upgrades to the truck, like the bed liner and the undercoating and the snow plow and that sort of thing, have been spent from that. The basic truck itself has not been spent from that at this time, and the water meters have not been spent.
Okay, so
Let me clarify that.
okay.
The 69,130 is what we have available. It's in the checking account. We've already made our monthly loan payments on the loan, so we're down to about 120,000, which means we're about 52,000 that we've used.
All right, because what was the original amount of the loan? Was it 125?
125.
And if we spent, for some reason the math's not adding up, because if we spent 53 on roads alone,
yeah,
and we're sitting on 121's roughly balance.
We got money back in the state.
Yeah. Well, we've paid some on it,
Yeah,
so.
Well,
so
there
that has
again,
gone
we've paid,
down.
we're
as
making
far as I
monthly
know,
payments.
we've paid 48,000?
No,
No.
we redeposited into the fund the money that we took out for the storm cleanup.
We didn't actually pay it.
It's really not a loan, it's a line of credit, isn't it?
Well, no, we've actually borrowed
We've
$125,000.
taken the total, we've taken possession of the total amount of
We
money?
have.
It's in the bank,
Okay.
and there's still $69,130.63 still in there.
Okay, so then this is actually being listed here as a debt to the town, the 121.
Debt to the bank.
Well, the town owes the
It's
bank.
money,
The
it's
debt
money
that
we
the town
have.
owes the bank.
Yes.
That's money we have access to right now as of today.
121 or?
No, what's
69,
left?
okay.
The 69,130.
I don't see any 69, but.
It's on the first page.
Okay.
It
All
says
right,
loan
assets.
proceeds checking, or it says loan
Okay,
proceeds.
like I said, the math just wasn't adding up, so I appreciate the explanation.
I don't see the copy of the letter from the Treasury Department stating that you have two ultimatums with this loan, either file after the fact or pay the loan off. I don't see that
I
letter
think Bob just
included.
addressed that a minute ago.
What did you say,
I
Paul?
say we're just going to discuss it with our attorney at the closed session today.
But you don't want everybody public?
Well, we will
to know
tell you
about that?
after we discuss it with her what she says. I mean, right now we have more questions than we have answers.
But is that letter on the website for everybody to view if they
No,
want?
the website's in.
I'm not worried.
No.
No, it's not. The website is not working.
But that's also on the agenda.
It's agenda.
But the letter is public information through the town hall here, right?
I have to ask
I
them.
believe you have a copy.
Well, I'm on the mailing list.
But everybody should have a copy of that letter, knowing what's going on with the monies.
I believe it should have been included in the packets, but that's just my opinion.
Is that qualify for a closed door, or should that be open to the public?
Well, when in discussions with the attorney,
Right.
the board discussing with the attorney, it's closed session. But then when
No, my question is that officially qualified to be a closed
Yes,
session, or
yes,
should that be open
it
to the
is.
public?
It is. It's one of the things that closed sessions.
I know personnel is, but.
And the other thing is discussions with the attorney, between the board and the attorney. And we won't, the point is not that we're going to try to keep anything a secret. The point is, right now, we don't know. And so what we're going to try to get some answers today.
But it seemed like paying off the note gets rid of an awful lot of headaches and an awful lot of
Whereas
expenses.
that's one of the things we're looking at.
Okay.
And we can do that.
Okay.
Okay, if there's nothing else on the financial report, let's move on to Tetra Tech Engineering Services Status Report.
Point of information? Are we having public comment today, or has it been moved to the end?
It's we don't have public comment. We only have to have public comment once a month.
Okay. All right.
And but in general, this meeting will be an open meeting.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you have something to say, as long as it's not too long-winded, I'll be glad.
I don't have that problem easily.
Okay. Okay, Tetra Tech Engineering Services Status Report.
We have sent everything that was discussed in the meeting that we had with the conference call with Vic D'Amato. Everything has been sent to him, so we're just waiting now for him to go over all that data and get the data that he had to get, which I'm thinking will probably take him a while, because he had to look at the size of every house, the number of bedrooms to every house, so that's going to take a while. So I haven't heard anything back from him since the meeting. We do have another scheduled conference call in December.
In December?
Yes.
Okay.
So by then, I think that he will have all his information and our information, and we'll be able to.
What is the conference call?
I've got it right down on my calendar. I should have brought that out here. Sorry.
That's a conference call with the committee, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, I copied that down, but I copied it down for November. So,
You won't.
I think it was November the 10th. And so it probably is December the 10th. I probably just wrote it down.
I think it's December, yeah. Because I'm supposedly going to get a message how to do
December the
that.
8th.
At 11 o'clock.
Let's put that also on the announcements if you want to, because those meetings are open to anybody wants to.
Yeah.
December 8th at 11.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question on that. Do we, and I guess this should go back to the finance, do we know how far into this money-wise the town is so far? And have we begun to take federal grant money and spend it or not?
We've made one payment, right?
Yes.
And we have not made any draws on
On the grant money? Okay.
And how much did we pay Tetra Tech already?
I think we've paid them around $3,000. Emily said we just got another bill from them this morning for about $1,000, a little over $1,000. So we may be close to 5,000.
December 10th.
Bob, I was at the meeting, the telephone meeting, a week or so ago with Tetra Tech, and I made minutes of that meeting because I don't think anybody did. So I'm going to distribute a copy of that to everybody so they understood if they got a sewer committee file or whatever.
Appreciate that, Roger.
So you want these on the next agenda for adoption, right?
Well, I don't know how you want to handle it. Yeah, how you want to handle it.
That's how it works.
That's at the next meeting, the next conference call, December the 10th.
Well, this was the minutes of the one.
Yeah, I know. Well, we adopt these minutes at the next meeting.
Okay, can I just submit this officially or now?
You just did.
You just did.
Okay. All right.
Although this really isn't the committee, so there may be people on the committee that.
Yeah, well, I guess I only could distribute copies, you know.
Would you give me a copy, Roger?
I can do that. In here is who attended,
Yeah.
so she can use that as a distribution list, okay? Very good, thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Terry Phillips at Hometown Tax proposal to network staff computers.
Yes. She had first quoted me $675, but she said that we could use my laptop, so we'll cut it down to $575. But we have got to get those computers networked together. Have to, because we only can use QuickBooks on one computer. So if somebody's doing something in QuickBooks, anything that Emily has been working on her computer, she can't continue to work on the other computer because they don't talk to one another. So we are kind of handicapped not having those two together. So she's proposed to have a server. I actually talked to her about the cloud, and she said that will not tie the computers together. And there's a monthly fee, or a yearly fee, I think of like a little over $200 to do that.
You mean for the cloud?
For the cloud.
Yeah. Well, the purpose of the cloud is not to network computers together. The purpose of the cloud is for backup and a security backup and all. But I don't understand why the computers aren't talking to one another. I just, you know, I've had multiple computers of my own talking to each other for 20 years. And I mean, you know, it's supported. It's supported by Windows, yeah. It just, I have, you know, I have a C disk, a D disk, an S disk, and a T disk. And I can access all the disks on all the computers.
It sounds like STDs.
That's right.
But it's not the disks, it's the network.
Yeah, well,
Computers won't network with each other.
well, that may be, but that's a solvable problem.
They don't talk to each other.
There's no reason why, I mean, Windows talks to Windows. There's no reason why it won't. So I don't know. There's something going on, and I think we've been the victim of some bad computer service here, and I think we need to address that.
But won't this lady fix it? And while she's fixing it, we'll find out why it didn't work.
Yeah.
So we
Absolutely.
can't not just complain about it. We have to fix it.
But the point is, I don't see any point that you're talking about buying another computer.
No,
No,
it's
sir.
just a server.
That's a
Well, so
server.
that's a server. That's a computer.
It's just a little box about that big.
Okay.
But the server would also serve as the backup.
Okay.
So we
okay.
would avoid.
So we would avoid the using the
Yeah,
cloud.
and she
Okay.
said you could actually access the server through the laptop we have now.
Right, but then if something happens to the server,
Then we just took the,
I know, but
Yeah.
then is it backed up somewhere?
I think the server, well,
See, that's my
Server.
concern, is if the server is not
goes
backed
down.
up.
That's a question that I can ask her
You know,
and see if it,
we need, if the servers go, we're gonna put our data on the server and then just access it from the other computers. That's fine.
can we back up our QuickBooks to a, what's
Thumb
it
drive.
called? Well,
Thumb
it's
drive.
a large little
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Emily actually carries it home every night.
Well,
She backs it up. Is there something that
we could buy a 64 meg thumb drive and do the same thing probably, and the only problem with that is you keep losing it.
You
Yeah.
could buy a backup for about $60 with a terabyte
Yeah,
worth of storage
exactly.
that would back
Yeah,
all of it up.
But the other problem with the server is that unless it's changed, you can't put a Outlook. You can't put an Outlook database on the server. They don't allow. They do not allow the Outlook databases to be shared.
Well, Mayor, are you okay with having this lady come in and fix it?
Right.
And you being there to
Yes.
give us your
Yeah.
knowledge of all this?
But there's just one thing that you need to check with her, is to make sure the Outlook, I mean, if you're talking about, like, for instance, having Outlook operating on 2 different computers and having the database for the Outlook on a server, I don't think that works. I don't think,
Make sure the
Outlook has to be on a local disk.
You're okay with
Yeah.
letting them fix
Yeah.
this, and then you'll be
Right.
there to help?
Right.
Should we set a dollar amount that they can expend for whatever they need to get it done?
Well, let's get it started, and then we'll see what she estimates it's gonna cost to do it.
She's estimating $500. That's what she's estimating.
She doesn't.
500, 575, something like that.
If we can get this mess in here cleaned up, then that's worth it.
It is.
Yeah, it definitely, because like I said, right now, it is really hard for us to, because we cannot, anything that she's doing, and she's got to be on that computer, if there's something, just like the QuickBooks, I mean, we've only got it on, it's on both computers, but they're not tied together, so I can't even balance the accounts if she's, you know, so this week's been a challenge, well, Monday and Tuesday, trying to get everything ready.
So
Ask
is
her
that
about
the-
the QuickBooks. I mean, what Bob mentioned about the email.
Email. Yeah, we just have email
Outlook.
on both.
Does that amount of money need to be authorized, or is that already included in the budget for office supplies or expenditures, or?
Well, we've already used up our office supplies through all this paper that we're running.
So I guess what I'm asking is, at the council meeting, does this amount need to be authorized?
Oh, we can find a place to purchase
There's
it.
money in the contingency account for these unforeseen circumstances. I think it's $8,000, so there's plenty of money and a line item for this type of thing.
And we can do a budget amendment.
Okay, because my question is, if she comes in, I think it's silly not to be able to get the equipment she needs to fix it. So as long as that money is approved for her to spend to do that, is that what we're saying? It is there and it is approved to spend?
We have money that we can use for that purpose.
Okay, she doesn't need to have a special meeting
No.
or, okay, good, good.
Anything else on that? Okay. McGill Associates Water Meters Installation Bid Document Approval.
Well, you want to start?
Go ahead.
We've had numerous discussions over the McGill document, and there was an initial draft, a lot of comments on it, and it has been produced into a second draft. It needed one or two small tweaks, but there's an issue that we should decide, and we could have that discussion today and then make the decision on Tuesday, and that is whether the document should remain solely for the meters, or should include a second line for installing those meters with an outside contractor. McGill's recommendation, and I agree with them, is not to do that for a variety of reasons, some of which is state law about the difference in bidding a commodity versus bidding a construction contract. So I wanted to put this on the table before it got finalized, and then, of course, part of the decision on bidding them out goes to the loan issue, which we'll discuss later on today. But in terms of the bid document itself, it's ready for prime time should we decide to go out with it. But the recommendation is to leave the installation issue for later and bid that separately if the town council wishes to do that. And I'd like, not today, but at some point, Eric to weigh in on his capacity to install 200 meters and all of that. So my recommendation would be that for Tuesday, we approve the document, and then we'll decide when to bid it based on the conversation we have today.
Okay. Before we discuss the installation, I'd like to suggest that at some point in time we do a test. I mean, I guess we have to have the meters first, but go out and arbitrarily pick 20 meters or something like that, and go out and see what is involved in replacing the meters. Right now, we have no idea what we're going to run into when we do that, and I don't think anybody here has had enough experience doing that. But we know
that would be before you decide to bid it out as construction.
Exactly.
That's fine. I don't think you want to actually change the meter. You just want to do a visual inspection.
Well, I don't know, because I mean, what sort of problems are we going to run into when we try to pull out 20 meters or 200 meters and put in 200 new meters?
Lots of problems.
Well, you're going to have some problems, but nobody knows how many. I mean, is this something we really want to farm out, or is it something that we can cover with our existing workforce, or what is the right solution on this? I don't want to spend money unless we don't have another alternative. Yes.
Thank you. My concern is, why is this council doing all this work on bidding for water meters back and forth when two things? First off, I believe that this money is going to be used out of the loan that we got from UC Bank. Now that bothers me, because what if that loan, and the attorney says to you today, just pay off what you've already and give back the rest? Then what are we going to do for water meter money?
There's sufficient money in the water account if we don't use the loan to pay for the meters.
Okay, I just wanted that to be clear.
Yeah,
so
we've
people
looked at
know.
that.
So we're not locked into a loan that we probably should have never gotten in the first place.
Well,
then the other thing is why are you pushing this now when the new board will be seated in December, and shouldn't they be in on this?
But they will be the ones making the decisions on it.
Exactly.
Okay, so they will. I mean, right now we're trying to do the preliminary work. We're working with the engineering company, and we've got questions of the engineering company, and we're going to, as we said, there's decisions that haven't been made about who's going to do the installation, and all that will be decided by the new council.
Just one real quick item. Are we thinking about applying for a grant for these water meters now?
We may choose to do that.
Okay, so my thoughts are, if we are going to go the grant way, this should be basically tabled until we find out what's involved in obtaining a grant and whether it's out there
Well,
or
it's not, there are other alternatives other than grants. So the question is, what we'll have to, the new council will have to decide what is the best way to go as far as to finance these meters.
Well, that would be fine. That's why I'm saying this should actually be tabled, I believe.
It should be tabled until the new council,
Well,
because the new
until-
council's gonna have to go back, review this bid process, review all the paperwork, and that might have to be changed, so it's
I don't know what has to be changed.
maybe something in the bid system that you've got written out that I read all 27 pages of.
Do you have specific suggestions?
Not yet, no, because I'm not sworn in yet.
You can make your suggestions
Yeah.
right now.
No, I'm not doing that
Well,
right now.
like I said,
Sure.
May I ask a question? What are some of the options? If you could just briefly give me two or three, how many options you have? You said there are some options to the water meter.
Well, to paying for the water meter. One of the options is to get a grant of some sort. Another option is to go out for a new loan. If we pay off this loan, we can go out for a new loan to buy the water meters. And the third option would be that we might have funds available already in our water account.
Where are the
To do that.
funds derived from the grant? For a grant, are you applying to the state for a grant?
Probably are, aren't we?
Who?
Well,
There are several people there are several agencies who give grants for things like this.
we're not sure they give grants for
Are
water.
those agencies taxpayer agencies?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, and so the grant would be in fact taxpayer money, is that correct?
yes.
So somebody on the East Coast here could pay for our water meters?
If we don't use it, it'll go to something else, so.
Big deal.
Mhm.
That's the whole idea.
Roger.
Okay, I have just one basic question. I read through, how many pages are in there? 40 or 50 pages, Roger? In the specs of the, I mean, it's a long document. I read every single page before I went to sleep. But I don't know how much money we spent for that, but I would say, having worked for an engineering company, if my company had put that out, I would be kind of ashamed. But the second part is, why are we so intent to start committing to buy this? We don't know what the total cost is. Shouldn't we just kind of get the cart behind the horse and find out what the total cost is? Because the installation may be more than the meters. We don't know. Is that right?
I don't want to deal with the facts.
So you mean the cost of installation
The
may be
total
more than the
cost of the project, right now we think is 40 grand plus or minus for
Well,
meters.
we sort of don't think that, but yes, it may very well be. You know, the question is, if I go out and look at a single meter, would it cost more to buy the meter, or would it cost more to put it in? And I think on general, it's going to cost more for the meter.
Well, but these meters are probably in stock. These are not going to be built for our order.
No.
Because the meter companies sell these by the thousands.
Exactly.
And we're going to be just a teeny tiny customer
Yeah,
asking for 200 of them. So we can call them one day and say, what does meter number 74 cost? They got a price list. By that time, we will know the total project cost from a good estimate. Because right now, we haven't got the foggiest idea what the total is, do we?
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I haven't seen that number. I guess it hasn't been published.
We know within 10% what the meters are going to cost, because there has been some research done, and there's probably 80% of that is part of the loan. The other 20% is available towards installation, and if that's not enough, which is why we're talking about bidding it separately, or the mayor wants to do his sampling to see what it would cost, and then we'll make a decision whether Eric can do it or not. But we would have, if we kept the loan, plenty of money in reserve to either do it ourselves, installation-wise, or to go out to bid for a unit price per meter to install it. All that is a phased thing. The underlying question I think you're asking is, do we need new water meters or not?
Well, that's
We've
even
got-
more basic
we've got
question, yeah.
past
Have they been
that.
measured for accuracy?
We got past that a long time ago.
Have they been calibrated? Meters been calibrated?
The meters are so old that they just can't be fixed.
Is the sum of the water usage on everybody's individual meters, is that equal to the master water meters?
That's a very interesting question. I'll give you the answer. Okay? Because I asked this question 1.5 years ago, and it took over a year to get the answer. We produce more than 3.5 million gallons a year at our water facility. We bill somewhere around 1,200,000 gallons a year. The first theory was that there were leaks. We had this service come out, I forget the name of it, but it's some sort of not-for-profit service, and went through the entire town and could not find any major leaks. So the delta between production and billing is somewhere in the meters, and the occasional cleaning out that you have to do, or the water tank overflowing. And I think any responsible taxpayer of this town would want new meters to do away with this enormous difference between how much water we produce and how much we sell. Okay?
Most meters are subject to weights and measures by the state of North Carolina. Most all of them, gas meters, most all of the meters, all kinds of gas meters. And the state will certify those.
You mean?
Have you looked into that? I'm talking about the old meters.
Wait a minute.
Absolutely. A meter, when it's a meter, it has to be calibrated or ain't no meter.
Well,
Okay? And there's a method to calibrate them, and the state will do that. They will wait.
Are you talking about new meters?
No, I'm talking about the existing meters.
So how would they go in and calibrate them without having to remove them and send them somewhere and be calibrated?
You shouldn't have to do that. How would you do it? There may be a plug somewhere on the meter that needs to be removed that'll delve out a certain amount of water and can be measured, and you go back to the meter's reading itself and it'll tell you if it's off, it's off. That's why weight measures work.
I think he's made a reasonable point. Why don't we, between now and Tuesday, have that investigated and see if there is some type of calibration process that the state does for municipal water meters. Why don't we check that out? Okay. It's a reasonable.
You can't have a public meter without it being calibrated by the state, especially if it's serving the public. It would be fraudulent.
Well, let's check it out. We'll have an answer.
That should have been done a long time ago. Probably 1.5 years ago when we were studying everything else.
That may very well be. We're learning as we go along too.
God, that seems common sense to me.
No, I just heard a statement that says we checked for leaks and someone told us we don't have a leak problem. I think we just drained the whole tank about 3 weeks ago, didn't we, on a leak problem?
Oh yeah, well that was a broken pipe. We know.
But we don't know that could have been dripping for 5 years and finally erupted. I mean, I can't believe that these meters, a meter, your meter, my meter, whatever, is only going to see maybe 5,000 to 6,000 gallons a month, or a billing period, whatever the numbers are. To come up with 2 million gallons of difference. That means those meters are out of whack by 400, 500%. You just can't get the numbers to balance.
Well, it's absurd.
And I agree, some of these meters are probably wearing out, but they are what I would call iron-proof meters that don't take more than a shade-free mechanic because they're positive displacement. And they don't misfunction very often. Occasionally,
well, we have had a lot of them that we know.
We've placed a lot of them, but they're 40 years old.
It's a lot cheaper to
and
cut
one of those
of
meters, Eric, is what, $40, $50.
Take a quantity of water.
Versus electronic, which is going to have an electronic system beyond what I hear you're already having troubles with electronically on data keeping. And the biggest part of this thing is going to be an electronic system to back up all of these radio frequency meters. I mean, we're just stepping out of bounds here, I think.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the engineering firm that we're using is giving us bad advice.
No, they're giving the advice we asked for. Okay, I don't know why we asked for electronic meters, but evidently we did. So, and they're following through. They're providing a specification to allow you to buy them.
Roger should have known this because he's been doing this.
Well, Roger, this is the first time we talked with Roger about it.
He's talking about
I'm talking about Roger Carlton.
Let's-
This has been his business since
Before we
1991.
get personal, let's just square this away.
I just got the facts, I'm sorry.
The,
It's on your resume. That's what you did. Sewer and water. That's what you did.
it's one of 100 things I did.
Okay, but it was a big one throughout your
Sir,
whole
I don't want to get in a
career.
personal debate with you.
I know you don't understand.
You want a
But
personal
I don't
debate?
understand the answer either,
Excuse me.
okay?
If you want a personal
Excuse.
debate, I'll be glad to take you to lunch or dinner, breakfast.
That's why this is a public meeting,
But I'll
so
be glad
you
to
can't
talk to you.
distort anything I'm saying. That's why it's a public meeting, Roger. Thank you.
You had stated that it's 80% this and this number here, but you never
80%
gave us
what?
a rock solid number of what you're looking at, the estimate of spending.
Hold on. Let me try to put some perspective on this. Because this thing has been on the agenda for, what, a year and a half?
A year and a half.
Okay.
And we've never had any real numbers.
No, I want a real number.
Yeah.
Governmental procurement process, which unfortunately we have to go by. And you'll learn that if you're seated up here.
I am seeing it.
Okay. The governmental procurement process is very clear. On a matter like this, you have to go out to bid. Okay? We discussed that at great length and decided to use the engineering firm to prepare the bid specifications. Okay? They prepared them. We also discussed the electronic meters for a variety of reasons. The main one was that it saves a tremendous amount of work from having to go around and pay somebody to read the meters. And Eric doesn't read the meters. We pay an outside person to read the meters. You may go with them, I think, but they're read independently.
How much money is that?
Would you let me
Roger?
finish?
Well, no, you're saying things without backup. How much money is that every 3
Would
months?
you let me finish? I'll come to it.
Okay.
You see what I want to interrupt continuously.
No, we seem to want an answer without a 2-hour explanation, that's all. Get
So
their
far,
facts.
if you want to get into that, I've got 11 hash marks from 3 people who want more information, okay? So it's not me that's delaying the meeting. If we want to talk about it, we'll talk about it.
If it's being discussed, these answers should be on hand
The
by a
answers-
committee that's been doing a study for a year and a half. They should be answered already, and you should have access to them. Good grief.
Do we have a number? That's all I'm asking for, is a number.
Well,
I'll give you the numbers again, okay?
Not 80% of anything, I want to know the number that you're thinking of how much it's going to cost to buy these electronic meters.
And install.
And install.
Help me here for a second.
Well, it comes with more than just the meters.
Right.
Like, if you read the bid package, there's a laptop that's going to be in all the mounting hardware that goes in the truck. There's the accounting software,
Right.
which we desperately need to take out of QuickBooks, so that these ladies got time to do other things than to spend 40 hours a week dealing with watermelon, which we've been doing for the last 2 months. The QuickBooks that we're using to send out water bills, we've checked with the experts. You cannot put, it will not capture past due amounts on an invoice. I can't imagine a system that doesn't do that,
Right.
but that's what QuickBooks is. This system will automatically do that.
But I want to know a number. He said 80%. 80% of what? Big question.
Of the $125,000, how much was set aside for the water meter project?
About 42,000.
Okay. Here's your answer, 42,000.
42,000.
Okay.
There's no installation.
And that's not installation.
No, we'll see what they cost with the bids, a portion of that 42, and I can't tell you how much, till we have the bids on the meters, will be for installation. If that is not enough, if the town council decides that Eric can't do it and we need to go out to bid for installation, then that additional money is available in the water reserves. There's your answer.
I got a question. Again, I think we might be putting the cart in front of the horse, but if we should end up having to pay this loan off, are we not going to be borrowing from the water fund reserves already to do that, to accomplish that?
That's what we're going to discuss today.
Okay, so basically by next Tuesday's meeting, everybody should be in a better position to address this study as to whether or not we want to put a hold on it, table it, or go forward with it. Correct? We'll be a lot better educated after you speak with the attorney and figure out what we're gonna do.
You're asking us to predict the outcome of a discussion that'll be held at 12:15 that we haven't held yet.
I'm asking just to hold off on this and finish deciding on Tuesday until you get the results from that meeting.
That's why this is a planning meeting. We're
Yeah.
having a discussion.
Okay.
We're not making any decisions
We're not
today.
making a
Okay,
decision.
all right.
One last question.
Yeah.
Didn't all 5 of the people at that table 2 weeks ago decide there should be no meter work until next spring?
Yes.
So why are we even concerned about buying these meters? Because they're on the shelf, you can probably get them.
We are not planning on buying them until next
Okay.
spring. We're anticipating having to do that, and therefore we're trying to plan ahead.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Next is 401K recommendation by John Garland, and John's not here.
Yeah, he has the proposals, and I think that he is ready to make a recommendation. We're gonna we'll actually have to have them come out and set all that up, so.
I think the question is, we got 3 proposals in, open, competitive, sealed bids. John agreed that since he has a similar program in his company that he would look at them.
Mm-hmm.
He's not here today, but he's looked at them, and he is ready to make a recommendation. So the question is, do we want on Tuesday to have his recommended person here if they can come to make a presentation to us so this decision can be done? Or do you just want to hear his recommendation and adopt it and not put the thing into place in January? And the money to match up to 1% is in the budget. We planned that. And I think this is a good thing for the employees, and if we can find a way to try to make a decision on which firm to do in our meeting on Tuesday, we're sending a very strong signal to the employees what we think of them and how we respect them and want them to become a permanent part of the team. So I'd like to find a way to make this decision on Tuesday.
Okay, well, the concern that I have is that when I've talked to at least one of the persons who would come in and make a presentation, they say 30 to 45 minutes for the presentation.
That's what they want.
Well, I understand.
15-minute presentation, the most. But it's up to you. But I think.
Well, I mean, I don't know what it takes. That's why I'm saying. And so maybe the right solution is to have a special meeting for that.
Happy to do that.
Okay.
Okay, back to some basic numbers. How many people are going to be in this program? 3?
Yes.
Okay, and these people, none of them make $100,000.
No.
And we are committing that it's a good idea, and we will, if they will put away $1, we'll match it dollar for dollar up to 1% of their salary.
Right.
All right, so if they make $30,000, just pick the number, that's $300. Okay, the cost for the bank and all the administration of doing all this, it would be a whole lot simpler, no paperwork. At the end of the year, we promise every employee we'll give you 1% of your salary plus 10% of that for taxes, because the 401 is a before tax situation. And we can afford to pay $330 to an employee for a whole lot less paperwork, a whole lot less responsibility, and they can put it in a Roth IRA, and we just steer clear of it.
The operating phrase there, Mayor, is they can put it away. It doesn't mean.
But why are we forcing them?
I didn't interrupt you.
Okay,
Please
you
don't
didn't.
interrupt
Thank
me. The operative word is they can put it away. A retirement program in which we match up to 1% allows them to put in as much as they want to in a plan that is managed by somebody else. The resources that we put in are theirs, and we have no further risk. We also are going to ask whoever comes in to make these presentations what their maximum service fee is to the employees. It runs generally around 3/4%, maybe a little more. We don't pay any of that. The employee then can decide whether they want to manage the money and what risk levels they want to take, or whether they just want to put it in these program things that change as you get older, closer to retirement. So the 0.75%, if that's the number, is de minimis. It's nothing compared to the benefit that the employees get. It also can be done, I believe, pre-tax. A whole nother benefit that just giving them a bonus at the end of the year doesn't bestow on them. So there are a lot of reasons why you do this in an organized way.
The point is that we won't know what we want to do until we get somebody coming in and talking to us about the details. And John has a similar situation. He has more employees than we do. He has a similar situation, and he's chosen to go with one of these companies, and he's got his reasons why he chose to do that. So.
Well, I thought we last month assigned him the task to bring back a recommendation,
not
to bring back multiple recommendations.
We went out for bid, which we have to do, and we got 3 proposals, and he's coming back with a recommendation.
Okay.
One
recommendation. That's what I'm saying. So why are we planning on listening to 3?
We're not.
Okay. I was under the impression you were.
No.
Because you were saying 45 minutes each.
Well, I was saying 45 minutes each, but if we picked one, it would just be 45 minutes.
And we give them 15 minutes. That's a big one.
Well, I mean, you've got all these questions that Roger brought up to be answered, so I think...
just answer that, maybe not.
I missed one of my questions. Back to McGill. How much have we paid them so far for this water meter effort?
About 4,000.
I don't know if it's broke down in that.
Probably not.
It's just underwater. I could look and find the answer to that. I just have to go in and put those.
I guess I didn't get the answer. What was that?
I can look.
Oh, but you don't know right now?
I don't know right off
Okay.
the top of my head.
Thousands or hundreds or millions or
We've paid.
Less than a million.
less than a million? Okay.
Why don't you give me the answer after the meeting? You can look.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Town website transition, termination of current vendor.
We still have the old website, which we can't post anything to it. We, at the last meeting, had, I told him that it had to be done, the meeting was on a Tuesday, I told him that it needed to be done by Friday.
Wait a minute. Now, you said old website. The old website we had for years, and we could post to it.
We can't post anything to that right now.
Why not?
Because it's shut it down.
Yeah.
It's a transition. And the transition failed. If you want to be very
Okay,
candid
but
about
so in the transition, we lost the ability to post to the old website.
Right, and as I recollect, we couldn't post. We had to tell the vendor what to post on the old one.
When we came in, that was the situation.
Right.
Now, they may have been able to post, but we were emailing him, and I think he was posting it to the new website.
That's how it was
wasn't
always
he?
done.
So, and nobody can see the new website. And now, I told him it needed to be posted. He did take it down, because you couldn't access it, but the new website did not come back up. It's the old website, and I can't get in touch with him while he's not returning my calls.
So we are without a website. And the recommendation, as I understand it, is to terminate the old vendor. And what's the recommendation? To bring up a new, good, workable, that you can load website.
We will have to find someone that will come in and build a new website. I have talked to the girl that has done the,
Loving contracting.
yeah, she did Loving Contract, if anybody wants to go and look at their website, but she did the new directory. And she can actually do the website too, but she charges like $30 an hour to do that, and I don't know. I actually talked to my husband to see if there was any kids at the high school that might be able to do this, and he didn't feel comfortable enough with any of them to say that they could
Can
do
you
that.
by Tuesday give us a specific recommendation to go along with the termination as to how to move forward? Can you have that for Tuesday?
Yes.
Let me say something about this website. There was an article in the Graham Star about a new computer guy here in town, and he may be able to do it.
From the article I read in the Graham Star, his purpose is to fix computers. That is to get viruses off of computers and things like that. He helps people on the phone and probably through the internet
Okay.
to resolve problems that they're having with their computer. They didn't say anything about services like this. But
Well, maybe he does, but maybe they didn't get all the services that he does.
yeah, because there was one comment in there that he in general doesn't make house calls.
Okay.
And, you know.
This is more than a house call.
Yeah, this is,
Just out of curiosity, and I'll toss it out there, it's just an idea, I don't know if it can be done or not, but I'm sure they have computer classes and services in the high school.
that's what we talked about.
Okay, and, oh, did you bring up, I mean, I wasn't
Yeah, I actually
I mean,
talked.
the TPOA gives 2 scholarships a year. If the TPOA could work with us, and perhaps we could go through the high school and award,
Well, she said that.
You know,
We just said that.
Oh,
We said that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind at all asking him again, and he could actually go and talk to the, lady that's over the computer department and see if she feels that there's a kid. But just in talking with him, he said he didn't feel comfortable enough with the kids that he had to,
Oh, okay.
to
Well,
say.
how about maybe take it a step further and go to the Western College, Tri-County College,
Yeah.
Tri-County College, and see if it could be somebody's class project or something, and offer them a few dollars, but see how it works.
Well, the bottom line is you're gonna make a recommendation how to move forward.
Yeah, and there's just a lack of skill in this area to do things like this.
okay, so in the end, we need to come off the dime and
We
pay
need
the
to
money
find,
and do it.
we need to find somebody who can do it. And I think it's important now in this day and time to have a working website that we can post to, that we can control.
We need the transparency, I
Right.
agree 100%.
Right.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Sort of what Connie was talking about, there's Paul Worley and Catherine Jenkins at Tri-County, and they a lot of times have students who are looking for a project, and I would not be surprised if they don't have.
That's good possibility.
And I'd be happy to either provide you numbers for them in my truck, or call them and have them contact whoever the contact
That
person
would be
is.
great.
Okay, which would you rather?
If you want to give them to me, I'll
Okay.
call.
I'll do that.
Who did your website?
Aaron, my son-in-law, did our website.
And yeah.
He's
it's
not
really
looking for
good.
another project.
I don't think so. He didn't.
He did a great job,
He
too.
did.
Thank
We,
you.
we looked at your website. It looks really good.
Can we use that as an example when we contact the college, we need something like this?
What was the name? What was the name you said at the college? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Tri-County, you mean?
No, who was,
People,
yeah, Jenkins, what's the first name?
Paul Worley
Paul
and
Worley.
and Catherine Jenkins. I don't know the numbers off.
Okay, moving on. Next item is regional library status.
There's a meeting of the Regional Library Board on the 19th to discuss their normal business plus the Santeetlah matter, which is before them on our withdrawal of the long-term agreement. And our desire that some actions be taken vis-a-vis the employees and the way they treat the public. Those are the two things that we put on the table. So I plan to attend, since you all designated me, and anybody else who wishes to come is welcome to come along, so that they understand our position clearly. And they did have a meeting on this at their last meeting, and I think, Lisa, you were there. And to the best of my understanding, there was some discussion about this matter.
I'm on the trustee board, but obviously a lot of this is personnel matters, so I can't really go into that. They have definitely discussed the Santeetlah issue, but again,
Was there a closed session on the employee matter? I don't think so.
we don't really have a closed session in that because nobody ever, nobody's there except for our board members. I mean, it's a trustee board. I mean, nobody comes. So I don't know how they handle that. I'm assuming it's closed because it's personnel. I've not been directed to speak, so I would keep my mouth shut.
In their minutes of that meeting, they do mention the eligibility for retirement of the library director, that he is eligible to retire. So, whatever that means, it's there, and we'll go to the 19th, and anybody who wants to come, please come. And we'll see if this matter can get closed out.
Why did we stop giving to the library?
Well, we didn't,
We didn't
yes,
stop.
we did. Here, well, we did and we didn't. What we said was, well, let's go back for a minute.
Okay,
There was a 10-year agreement signed 3 years ago, maybe?
3 to 4 years.
3 or 4 years ago, by the mayor and our then town administrator that said that we would pay $5,000 a year for 10 years. We cannot find in the minutes where that particular 10-year agreement was ever approved,
okay.
okay? And Mayor, you were there at the time, and you can't remember it being 10 years.
No, when it was proposed to us, it was proposed verbally as a 1-year agreement.
And somehow it morphed between the discussion at this table and the final document to 10 years. That is what it is. It's a signed document.
And by the way, we don't have any problem supporting the library. That's not the issue. The issue is that we have some issues with the library and we're not getting any response from the board.
So what we did was, we said, we want to get out unless you resolve these matters. That was basically what we said. It was as simple.
I didn't know we gave that much to the library. $5,000, is that right?
$5,000 a year.
For 10 years.
For 10 years?
See,
I thought we
you're the
only
second
gave
person that knows.
$500
No, sir.
No,
to keep the Saturday open.
no, they told us that they came in, they made a pitch that year that they needed $5,000 from us if we were going to keep the local library in Robbinsville open.
Okay.
And so we said, okay, well, we would do that. And then when the contract actually went in, apparently it was a 10-year agreement, which we never agreed to. The council never agreed to it.
Council never agreed to it, but it was signed by the then mayor.
Guy
Owen signed it.
Who was the signature?
Guy Owen.
Guy Owens signed it, and so did Peggy. So
Okay.
they view it at the library board as a legal document.
Yeah.
But there is a clause in it that we can get out.
If you give them 1 year's notice. Unfortunately, based on 2 or 3 months worth of discussion at this table, we missed the deadline for 16-17 fiscal year by a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's their position. We're stuck for at least 1 more year. I truly hope that this matter can be worked out and that we stay in it. But without taking the position that we took, then we would have no clout, frankly, with this board. We would send no signal to them about the dissatisfaction. Now, you should know that Ray Williams, County Commissioner, was appointed a couple of weeks ago to this board. And he is in lockstep with us on this matter. He is equally dissatisfied with the staff at the library for a variety of reasons, which we've talked about before at this table. So I certainly hope it works out. The last thing I think any of us want to do is get out of this library deal. But it's a very interesting question how it went from a 1-year deal at $5,000 to a document that said 10 years. That's a very interesting question.
What does our document say?
10 years.
10 years.
Okay.
But the presentation was made to us was they never mentioned the 10 years. And then when it was signed, I have a feeling that Guy and Peggy probably didn't go through the fine print and discover that it was a 10-year document.
Yeah.
And it wasn't approved by the council for our 10-year document.
So we can get out of this.
Well, we can, after next year we can.
Okay.
But that's not our goal.
But that's not our goal. I mean, the libraries are traditionally funded by local government agencies, and people in Lake Santeetlah use that library heavily. So we want to support the library. It's just the problem is that we don't like the service that we're getting.
Now, Lisa, have you heard any different?
The meeting still at this point is on the 19th.
And we're-
And I just want to say that it's locally, we're all very aware of the issues. It has been definitely a struggle to get that information to the board who doesn't come here. By making your decision, it definitely was a nice kick. And personally, somebody who's been an advocate of this library for many years, I very much appreciate what you did, because it definitely helped back up some of the things that I have been saying and trying to work on. So whether or not you were the kicker or not, it definitely was a good, I believe what you guys did was very good, because it just proved to the point that it's very important and we need to make changes.
Gary,
So,
who I had a very brief conversation with last week, and he's off this week, said that they usually have their meetings around 2 o'clock.
it's 2:30.
2:30 in the library.
It'll be at the Graham County Library this month, yes.
2:30 on the 19th.
And I have not heard anything different, so.
Okay.
Would you notify them if you do hear something different?
Yeah, if I hear something
Town?
different, I'll let you guys know.
All right, moving on, fiscal year 2014-15 amended audit adoption. What's this all about?
Well, there were several changes that had to be made when the audit was submitted to the state. They found some, I don't know if you call them errors, but they wanted to put, or give it back to them in a different format. So the auditors have resubmitted it, and we have a copy. The only question I have is, you and I signed the audit report. Do we need to re-sign that?
What we need to do is re-adopt it with the amendments that were proposed by the state. There weren't mistakes, it was just the manner in which something was presented that didn't quite fit into their model. So they asked our auditor who submitted it to make those changes. He made the changes, and what I think the financial impact was that the net surplus in the general fund was adjusted by about $10,000. So it didn't change whether it was a clean audit or anything else in there. So I think we need to put it on for Tuesday for readoption, and then you'll sign, both of you, the new amendment, and that'll be the end of that.
They do not, we don't have to send that to the state again. I asked Joe if he had to re-sign that and send it, and he said no.
How do you amend it?
That's what he told me, that they would not have to re-sign, but I'll check with him again.
Check with the state.
Okay. Because I asked that specific
Our
question,
record
that they
needs-
needed to.
So we need to adopt it in any case.
Okay.
Without question. So our record shows the correct one.
And then if we do have to sign something, we'll be clear to sign it, so whatever we need.
I'm listening.
Okay. Email response from Jane Jett regarding town council approval of remodeling project at 834 Sequoia Trail. It's my understanding that John has brought in a surveyor and is checking the current house to ensure that the house is on the line.
What happened, Mr. Mayor, as you know, we had a long hearing on Mrs. Williams' variance request. And at the end of that hearing, having listened to everybody, we approved the variance subject to a number of conditions which were in the minutes of today's meeting. Just to be super open and safe, I asked Kim and Emily to send the words of that resolution to both parties. As I understand it, Mrs. Williams did not respond, but Mrs. Jett did with further objections. And I think, to be fair, that her objection should become part of our record. And that's all that I'm asking, not to change anything, but to put her objections, which are in your package, in the record, and make it part of the file on this particular project. Mrs. Williams had agreed to a survey of the final plans to make sure, a review by a surveyor, that nothing was being designed to go over the line. And then when the construction is finished, that there would be another survey to make sure that the construction did not go over the line. And John Garland said into the record, although he did abstain because he's the builder, but he said into the record that if and when it got built over the line somehow, he would pay for fixing whatever was over the line, if you remember that. So I think this matter is over, but just to be fair to Mrs. Jett, I think her comment should be part of our record.
One of the stipulations, I believe, was to have, at Mary's cost, a new survey done prior to beginning construction.
Yes.
And I think that's
Construction
been done.
has begun. Has the town received that survey?
Has the construction begun?
Yes.
I thought John said that he was dropping something by the other day, didn't
What has begun mean, Jack? What is it?
Construction has begun. There's equipment on site.
And they're working,
Are they digging, are they doing something?
they're tearing things down. And
So-
there was a string put up to the property line, which Garland's crew has removed. And they put up a silk fence on Miss Jett's property. And construction is moving ahead. And I talked to David Hyatt, and his understanding is not what we think we understand. There's a lot of confusion still
The
there.
bottom line is, because one of our conditions was that our resolution be given to the county building inspector.
Right.
I don't know if that's been done yet, but that's one of our conditions. But if in fact construction is started, that is not what we approved. We approved that a surveyor would be in to state that the final buildable plans didn't go over the line.
My understanding is that that's been done, but I thought that was going to be dropped by town hall. That.
Well, let's follow up and we'll know on Tuesday.
We'll know on Tuesday, right?
Do I need to give the building inspector a copy of?
Yes, that's in the resolution, is that right?
And should we ask for a response from him too as to what his capabilities are in adhering to that? Because I believe it had something to do with possibly postponing the CO should things go south.
Are we talking about the building inspector?
Yes.
That's it?
Well, I think, it seems to me that they can't issue a CO if the construction is not on the property that it's supposed to be on.
It's kind of late then.
He only goes by the building code.
Let's have a conversation with
Okay. So the building permit, the county building inspector does not ensure that the property is on the.
The CO
He
is,
can let us know.
the CO is issued on electrical inspections,
Oh, yeah,
plumbing
yeah,
inspections,
I know
all
that.
the state requirements.
Yeah, so I thought.
So zoning is not,
This is not zoning. I'm talking about zoning. I'm talking about the fact that if I make improvements to property which I don't own, there's something basically wrong with that. That has nothing to do with zoning.
in all reality, that would end up being neighbor against neighbor in court.
Well,
Again, I don't believe the building inspector would be
okay,
involved in that. But
find out. Okay.
I have another question, Bob. I believe we've treated Miss Jett a little bit harshly. It took 10 days for the town to get that resolution to Miss Jett. And the response was, you have 2 days to respond to what took us 10 days to get to you. I don't think that's quite fair. And that mean I read it, and that's what it said. And then number 2, this famous paragraph C that everybody's been hanging their hat on that allows this expansion to proceed. And it's not a remodel job. Everywhere it's talking about remodeling. It's not a remodel, it's an expansion. We're tearing down a whole entire wall of the house and moving it out 6 feet. That's not a remodel, it's an expansion. Okay, and then if you read the whole entire Article 11, which I don't know whether or not everybody on the council has read that, it is a grandfathering article. And it says you may do this if this code change came in and caught you midstream. And paragraph C says very clearly you can't do that unless it was previously arranged and designed for this change. And that's not true. Article 11 does not support what Ms. Williams is doing. I mean, it is totally, if you read that Article 11 totally, you'll find that it does not allow this to happen.
I hear we had a long public hearing on this. Everybody who wanted to speak had a chance.
But Article 11 was never given to us. I only got it a couple of days ago. I've been asking for it day by day by day. Well, we'll get it to you. We'll get it to you. In fact, you, Mr. Carlton, promised you'd give it to me that day of the meeting, which you didn't do, and I had to fight to get it for the next week.
If I didn't give it to you, it wasn't by design. I could have.
Well, I came and talked to
with
you,
me.
but I came and talked to you after the meeting, and you said, yes, you would give it to me.
Did you hold off giving this to Mr. Schultz?
Emily finally got it to me, yeah.
Emily? Did you? Did you have a request that took you 10 or 11 days to give it to Mr. Schultz?
I don't think you made a, you put in a.
Emily gave it to me, yeah.
But after how long?
I don't know the number of days, but it was several, okay?
Were you made to put in a request for that under public information?
Well, I guess I didn't do that. Maybe that's my error.
So the action item for today is that this addition from Mrs. Jett will become part of the minutes of our next meeting.
That's right, we'll discuss what he's done, because there was a clear understanding that he would make sure that the design does not go over
That the buildable plans will not, and Mayor, I suggest that you contact him.
I will. I already have a meeting with him scheduled. Okay, moving on to new business. Occupancy tax schedule workshop.
Yes, we need to decide if we want to go forward with the occupancy tax and actually start collecting that. So I think we need to have a workshop and decide how we're going to do that. We actually got a resolution from Fontana that kind of tells us how they collect it. We have not been able to get one yet from the town of Robbinsville. They're out in training. So if we do want to go forward and collect that, we just need to decide how and put policy in place and adopt it.
Does that need to be advertised for a public hearing?
The adoption of the ordinance would have to be, because it's an ordinance. But the workshop follows our normal workshop procedures.
It'll be advertised.
So again, it'll be the new board making decisions
I don't
on
think
this?
so.
So the bottom line is that the action item for today is to try to set a date. It may be difficult in December, but certainly in January, to have a workshop discussion. And what comes out of that would either become an ordinance or not.
Oh, okay, I don't disagree with you, but why would December be difficult? Because the holidays?
That's the only reason, yeah. And you've got one other workshop you're talking about here too, I think.
Okay.
So
No,
either December or January needs to be decided Tuesday.
I don't see why it can't be tabled until the new board takes place.
well, can we schedule a meet? Go ahead and schedule a meeting. Is that?
It'd be perfect after the
Yeah.
first commission.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, the meeting would be after the new board takes, so in any case.
Just for the record, Mr. Mayor, and there's no record, but I'll be putting this on the record on Tuesday. 17% of the properties on Cherokee Trail are rented out. 25% of the properties on Nantahala Trail are rented out. 38% of the properties on Santeetlah Point are rented out. 40% of the properties on Santeetlah Trail are rented out. 18% of the properties on Sequoia Trail are rented out. On Thunder Island Drive, 42%, and
On Island Drive or Thunder Island Drive?
I think it's Thunder Island Drive, and on Thunderbird Trail, 16%. So there is a very substantial number of properties within the town of Lake Santeetlah that are rented out, probably 35 to 40% of the properties.
Do we have any idea how often these properties are rented out, or what, is it just that they, at least once a year?
During the summer season, but that would be subject to the 3% tax.
Right.
So we've bantered around a lot of numbers that were much lower than that in the past. I just want everybody to think about that, because I'll be reading those numbers into the record.
And can you also come up with a total of what percentage of houses in town are rented out?
Yeah, I think you can bring it
Okay.
from one to the other, presuming that there's about 200 houses in town, I think, that we water bill, rough number. So
That's
we can
round, good round number.
Yeah.
Question?
I would have to ask, well, first of all, let's stop using the smoke screen of percentages and get it down to actual houses, okay? Next thing, where did you get that list from, and where'd that list come from? And are those properties identified?
What?
Where did you get that list from, and are those
I'll
properties?
spread on the record, Jack, what I want to. You can refute it if you want to, but I'll spread on the record what I want to. I'm a member of this council until I'm not. I don't have to give you the detail. If I'm wrong, but I'm not.
Okay, well, basically that makes that no more than toilet paper.
I guess this is how you're going to behave going forward, to use words like that.
I'm sorry, but I asked a legitimate answer. Where did you get that? Did you pull it out of the air? Did you
From
have
a
somebody do a
windshield
study?
survey, from a walking survey done by a very responsible person in this town. Okay?
But still, there's a basic question here. 17% of Cherokee Trail, 22% of, why can't we say it's 7 houses and 8 houses?
We can change that. We
Yeah.
can convert one to the other. That's no problem. But and I don't know why they dealt with percentages.
Yeah.
It's a
because-
smoke screen, that's why.
Yeah, makes it sound bigger than
Well,
I got a question.
What were you going?
yeah.
An elected position pretty much dictates that information should be publicly disseminated because that person is elected by the public. They're entitled to that information, just like our government is. So those answers that you gave, they should be answered. You can't say, I won't give you those numbers. If you did the study and you were elected, it's privy to us. Those answers come to us.
I didn't hear anyone say they weren't going to give the answers.
It's harder to make a percentage than it is to give an actual count, because it's just one more, mathematical
The
process.
mayor asked that it be translated into actual numbers. I'll do that by Tuesday.
Good deal.
Is that list available so we can verify through,
Will be Tuesday.
through another party?
Will be Tuesday.
Okay, and any action on this will be further down the line?
new board
Oh,
will
yeah,
take
oh,
that
yeah,
under
oh, yeah,
advisement.
Okay.
yeah. That's
The only action that's been requested is to schedule a workshop.
Yeah.
That's the only action.
Yeah.
Okay.
Taxes.
No, I was just going to say, having been involved in hotel occupancy tax in my career, that, and I've been in this discussion here before, the enforcing of it and the fairness of it takes on a life of its own.
Well,
So I would just, give some caution to, I'm not saying don't do
Well,
it.
there are a lot of issues. There's also the issue of, we have to establish a separate board
It's all,
to this, and we are already pressed for having volunteers to serve in positions in this town because we have so few people that are here. And they're not here during certain times of the year when we need them here for these things. So this may never amount to anything, but it's something that we did get permission to charge the occupancy tax. And having gone through that, we need to probably follow up on it and see what we want to do with it.
I'd say, I'm not saying don't or
But we appreciate your insight because,
you got the inside funnels
but you were in a position where you were.
You can use Pawleys Island as a case study.
But you were in a
I'll tell
position
you all about it.
there that you were 100% of your business was under the rule of occupancy. And here, it's a situation where we have people renting houses and we don't know whether they're renting them or whether they're just friends staying there or what.
Well, Glenn County, who was doing it, yes, we were not an issue. Ours was public record, but I think they still have issues over who's renting and
exactly who's renting and who's just friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, violation of setback and cash deposit at 75 Nantahala Terrace.
Could you pass around the picture that you took?
Who?
There.
Gary?
You don't
Oh.
see this. As soon as you see it, I'll explain what this is about.
Okay, I was going to say, can you start piece of property that we're talking about, 75 Nambula Terrace?
This is the home of Mr. and Mrs. Gross.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Mayor, this is an issue wherein there has been a, I'll use the word potential, violation of the rules that we have about construction in a setback. It's clearly within 10 feet of the neighbor's property. The neighbor is here today. And our new building application fee requires when you do a major construction that needs a cement truck or something, you're supposed to come to the town and pay a security deposit against any damage to the road, which you can then get back if there's no damage. There was no application submitted here. There was no notice to the town. The project was completed without following any of the procedures that we have in place. So I'm putting it on the table for this council to decide what it wants to do, but I think at a minimum, what should be done is that the persons who own that property should have to come in for variance to construct in that setback after the fact. Then the council can decide what it wants to do, and then Eric can go out and see if any damage is done to the road. But that's what I think needs to be done. There are rules in place in this town about what you can and can't build and setbacks, and they can't be ignored. Frankly, I may have voted for this if somebody had come in ahead of time and said, hey, we need a variance. It may be that there was a good reason for it and a good purpose to it. But what I would like the council to do is put the owners on notice that they need to come in for an after-the-fact variance and hear this issue out. Hear from the neighbor about whether they support this or were ever notified or asked for some type of position on it, and do this properly in accordance with the rules.
A variance can only be given by the adjoining property.
No, variance can be granted by this council.
Well, it can be, but you need to ask the adjoining property.
Yeah, that's what we just said.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he says adjoining property, he's talking about the side that is affected.
That's right.
The construction that you have there is not on the side that Mr. Smith lives on.
Actually, it's within a certain distance that you ask everybody, but that's the reason that you have a public open hearing on a matter like this.
Okay.
So, would you be willing to come in for an after-the-fact?
I'm here right now, and I'm not coming in for an after-the-fact, but I will read this into the record. I will stipulate to the same claim that was made by Mary Williams last month, Article 5, Section 500. And go further, and I brought an entire copy of the tape. Mr. Carlton goes on to state, Mary Williams is a very competent lawyer. I believe that Mary's statement does qualify, and that his part was only that she was a competent lawyer. I'll go further to say that I consider that to be a legal opinion. And she told you, and I have it on tape, we do not need your permission to do projects like this. I do not need a Graham County permit to do that. I don't. It's a sidewalk and a fence. I don't need, and I have the neighbor's approval on that side. He allowed me to take down the fence, and when I put the wall up and plaster it like the other wall that's out front, he's probably going to tell me, don't bother putting my fence back up. We have great relations with that neighbor down there. And actually, I think we have good relations with all these neighbors, really.
Not really, Jack.
Huh?
Not really.
Well, do you take offense to the side?
I don't know what the big deal is, because Jack has flouted every rule in the place. They let their dogs run without a leash. They pile trash all over their property. Junk boats I've put up with for years. You know, I can't remember what else, but he chopped all the trees down on the lot. You know, he flouts every rule there is in the place, and then comes up here and condemns you guys for what you try to do. And I've been putting up with construction equipment on the lot for 4 years now. And trash, junk boats that's not been in the water for 6, 7 years, rotting them down.
They're all registered?
I have to put up with that daily. They're nuisance barking dogs. The dogs bark constantly. And she brings them over and lets them pee on my flowers. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they're just trash.
But as a neighbor, you think the council should address this issue?
I certainly think they should. But you know,
I would say thank you to that, because the first issue you're gonna have to address is who owns the street.
you do not own the street, Jack.
Yes, I do, sir.
No, you don't.
They're gonna have to address it, because as part of the setbacks, you're gonna have to have it addressed.
That's why our lawyer.
But that's another thing. They park their cars and their equipment in the yard and the driveway. The street, you can't get through half the time.
For purposes of today, though, the point is that what will be on the agenda for Tuesday is a determination whether or not you want to require the property owners, plural, to come in for an after-the-fact permit. Right. That's the determination.
Are you saying that the town issues permits?
We have the building application.
Building application, excuse me, I used the wrong word.
But the rules apply to everybody but Jack Gross.
Let's do something about it.
Thank you. All right, so that's all. We haven't decided anything today, but this will be on the agenda for decision for Tuesday.